This video is brought to you by Sim Racing Center. Today, we are going to be showing you the fastest way to take on the Circuit De Barcelona Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. So let's head over to the Hotlap sent over to us, of course, by Sim Racing Center and see what it has in store. Heading down in towards turn one, get the car over on the curb on the left-hand side, brake at the little bit of tarmac on the outside of the corner, take the apex of 1 and 2, and then flow through turn 3 now. A very long corner, allow the car to glide out wide, but get it tucked over back to the right for the shortest line through the corner. Braking just before the 50-meter board there, getting it tucked in for turn 4. Again, allowing the car to drift out wide as you get on the throttle. Braking now and dropping it down into third gear for the left-hander, short shifting up into fourth, heading downhill, and then a very tricky chicane, braking from 7th gear, dropping it down to 4th. Don't go over to the sausage curbs on the right-hand side. If you're running simulation damage, it will damage the car. Through the right-hander, through 6th gear, little lift off the corner, but now heading down the back straight and into this new part of the track. Meet the apex where the little sausage curbs are on the inside. Don't allow the car to get too far back out as you need to get it back over to the left-hand side, ready for this right-hander. Back on the throttle, car out on the left, throw it in through this right-hander, brake hard for the chicane into third gear, take it nice and tidy through the chicane, back on the throttle, through the final corner, and that is a lap of the Circuit De Barcelona Catalunya. Now let's take you through the lap once again, but this time break it down because that was far too quick. These guys are rapid and they take it far too quick for me to commentate on. So braking here, as you can see, on the left-hand side, you've got this little black bit of tarmac separating the paint on the runoff area. Of course, the car's over on the left-hand side as well. So brake hard around here, get it down into 4th gear, take the apex on the right, and then again on the left, short shift into 5th on turn 2, up into 6th, through turn 3, and all the way full throttle through this right-hander. As you can see, slowly tucks over to the right-hand side, just make that short line to the corner. Braking here exactly at the 50-meter board. The white line kind of helps you out, and you've also got the 50-meter board marker as well. So braking hard from 7th gear down into 4th. Meet the apex, back on the throttle, and allow the car to get out wide. Even use the curb on the left-hand side as well. Braking here, this is a tricky one. It's between the 50 to 100, maybe closer slightly to the 50-meter board. Where the track starts to drop down ever so slightly, that's when you want to be picking your braking point, dropping down into 3rd gear, meet the apex, run it out wide all over the curbs on the right hand side, up into 7th gear, braking hard now, just after where the curb starts for this next corner, and then heading into the left-hander. You want to really try and attack the first part, but set the car up so it's over on the left as much as possible, so you get a straight line exit through the corner, avoid the curbs on the right, then really throw it in through the right-hander. Little lift, no braking, just a little lift through there. That's all you need. Keep it in 6th gear and then hard on the brakes just after the 100-meter board as we head down into the new part of the track. And what you want to be doing is you'll be dropping down the gears and getting it straight over to the left-hand side. Sort of compromise yourself a little bit on exit, but then get the car back over to the left-hand side as much as possible to maximize this next corner through the right. Little dab of brake, dropping it down into 4th gear, carry the speed through the corner, get the car back out wide. Don't go too far, though, to invalidate your lap time. Again, little dab of brake from 5th gear around this stage. Got the light box ahead of you that you can maybe pick out a braking zone. Meet the apex, but get the car back over once again to the right-hand side of the track, ready for this final chicane. Braking just before the curbing starts here. You want to get the car over to the right as much as possible to brake in a straight line. 3rd gear, through the left and the right, back on the throttle, short shifting into 4th, through the final corner now, foot to the floor, and that is a lap of the Circuit De Barcelona Catalunya. Before we get into the setup though, let's have a little word from today's sponsors, Sim Racing Center. Sim Racing Center offers the best and latest F1 22 league racing setups to make sure your car is running as fast as it can. Combined with the race preparations they sell, which shows tire data, the best strategy, and a lot more to ensure you will slap the competition and be on top of your game. With these products, all you need to do is focus on your driving. If that's something you struggle with though, get a one-to-one coaching session with esports or esport academy drivers. Sim Racing Center also offers race engineers like you have seen on the League Racing series that I run on this channel, who will help you live during the race with your best strategy. Now, this is a company that I use for all of my setups. When it comes to setting up the car, I'm absolutely clueless. So these guys point me in the right direction to go as fast as I possibly can. And if you want to stay up to date with the best setups, make sure you use the code Hayden at checkout for 10% off. Right then, let's get into the setup for the Circuit De Barcelona Catalunya and show how you can go even faster than your friends around this track. Looking at the wings first, front wing aero is going to be 26 and front wing and rear wing aero is going to be 35. So not too dissimilar from what they recommend in the game. Slight few changes to make sure you're rapid on the straights, but also really good through the corners as well. So it's a bit of a compromise, this selection of wings. Now moving on to the transmission, and this is going to be pretty much, I think, the meta now for 22 is to be 50-50 on the differential, maybe upping the on throttle a little bit on a few circuits, but just to really help with the traction. These cars, they just tend to spin out a lot more on the rear, so in order to settle this down and be really comfortable on power, 50-50 differential is going to really help you with that one. Moving on now to the suspension geometry. Front camber all the way to the right. This is what we always see, but we've got the rear camber slap bang in the middle at -1.5. The front toe and rear toe, they're both going to be over to the left, and as you can see, front camber and the rear and the toe is going to be pretty much the same, I think, throughout most of the season. But the rear camber, that's the one that can change track to track. So it's gone for the middle, -1.5 for this circuit. Moving on to the suspension. This is something as well that was slightly different too. So we've gone for 10 on the front suspension and 9 on the rear suspension. Now, usually we go a lot lower on the front. It's usually like 1 and then a high number, and then 1 and then a high number once again. But this time, the front is a little bit higher than the rear. As you can see, front anti-roll bar there, 7. Rear anti-roll bar is 1. And then we've got front ride height at 2 and rear ride height at 3. Moving on as well to the brakes. And again, this is just going to be similar to what we usually see. 100%, 50%, no rule change there. No rule change as well from last year's game. And on the tyres, we are going to go slightly higher this time on the fronts, 24.3. But on the rears, it's going to be maximum on the tyre pressures as well. And that is going to do for the hot lap and setup for the Circuit De Barcelona Catalunya. Big thank you to our sponsors, Sim Racing Centre, for sponsoring this video, and of course for giving us the hot lap and the setup. Make sure you subscribe for more hints and tips on F1 22, and I will see you again next time. But until then, it's goodbye from me.